Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction, and let me also welcome all of you back after the lunch break. That's not my favorite time to do one of the presentations, but you know, you never know. You have to take what you get. And first of all, let me say a big sorry. I'm based in Vienna, and I don't speak Hungarian. Even my grandfather lived here, so he did a lot of work here, so you can find my name in some of the churches. So he was a painter, yes, and I didn't catch it up. I'm really sorry, but I can also tell you, for a German-speaking guy, learning Hungarian is, you know, for a technician, I'm a technician, so I'm good in mathematics. I already struggled learning English, and that's something a 3-year-old can do. So now try learn Hungarian. I painted my house inside, completely in white. That was what I did. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to talk a little bit about the future workplace. And if I look into the audience, I see that we have already a mixture of a typical workforce that we see today in our companies. We have here gentlemen in my age, I'm 43. We have, all the ladies are of course much younger, or much younger looking, but we have also colleagues here that are from the millennial age, which means they don't know how a phone looks, which has a cord and is mounted to the wall. So if you talk to these guys, the immediate question is, and what do you do if you want to phone in the garden? So the point is, we are approaching a life where we live together with people who have never experienced how it is not being connected. What it means if you have 9,600 bits per second, or even less, 9,600 baud, and you have to use an acoustic coupler to dial into your service. So this will be, and believe me, I'm in the technology department of HP, and I'm working with a lot of young students because they are cheaper. No, because they have a lot of good ideas. And sometimes we have a real clash of cultures, I would say, because their thinking is completely different towards problem solving as mine is. But that's the good thing. That's a very positive thing. You know, societies and a company, an organization, a workforce is also a type of society. Always gets stronger the more heterogeneous they are. So why the dinosaurs died? The real reason is not known, but they have been very homogeneous. And the risk that something can kill that because they are depending on one source of food or one source of energy or one source of ideas is very high. So basically, the future workplace will be not so much different than what we have today in terms of office furniture, or in terms of the buildings we are in, or the terms of what painting we have on the wall. It will be the people that will determine the future workplace and that will make the change. Need to find the right button. Here, so it's the who that is going to change it. It's a multi-dimensional workforce. And on the other side, yes, there is also a where, and especially for the younger generations, but also for many of us in my age, it is also already standard that you can work everywhere. Your work is following you. especially when we are talking about knowledge workers. Okay, when you are working in a factory, most probably the work is not following you. It could kill you if it would follow you, if it's very heavy, yeah? But on the other hand, how many of us are still working in such a manufacturing environment? Think about agriculture and what happened in the last 100 years. We had, not so long ago, an era where we had 30–40% of the workforce employed in the agricultural sector. So in the European Union countries, the average is about 4% today. In the industrial age, we had 60% of the workforce employed in factories. We are down now, I think, on 15%, and it's still going down. With Industry 4.0, this will go even further down. So more and more people will have the ability to be not depending on where the work is to execute on their work. And we in the IT, we are the first ones doing that. Yeah? You have your notebooks, you have your tablets, you have your phones, and you do your work wherever you are. You are connected to your systems. Either it's on the skiing slope or in front of the television set while you are on the couch with your family. Yeah? The work is where you are. And that is a big change. It's a change in behavior. It's a change in how we think about our whole work-life balance. But this has also big implications. It has big implications on the technology side. You were talking already today morning about security. So security is one of the biggest things already today and even in the next couple of years. We need to get that done, and we need to think security, as you have discussed today morning, not only in terms of intrusion prevention and in terms of a technology sync. We need to think security end to end. And the biggest risk in an organization is not technology, it's the people itself. If you think about what happened in the past couple of years, almost all security breaches were not real technology hacks. People have stolen data. So if you have a tablet with, let's say, 1 terabyte of memory, which today is not the case, but in a couple of years we will have that, and it will be not more expensive than 200 euros, so like a tablet today. Think of what damage that could cause if that gets lost. We will have more and more data in the cloud. Think about what's happening if somebody breaks into your cloud. So that's a big thing. But on the other hand, we are also talking about new work styles. The generations that are now at the universities and now entering the working market, these guys have a total different way to solve problems. When we were trained to read books or to check problems by ourselves, the generations that are now upcoming are trained to work in a collaborative way. And I do know all of you believe that we all are working in a collaborative way. But at the end of the day, people like I am and people in my age tend to sit in front of the PC and try to solve the problem by ourselves. Whereas the other guys not do that as their first step. The first step is to go into a social network and check who has done it already and learn from the others. And I can tell you, compared to these guys, and I have nephews in the age of 6, 8, and 12, these guys address problems completely different than I do. And that is something that will change the way of how we implement knowledge bases, how we implement the corporate knowledge in an organization, completely different in the future. You will have a discussion about innovation today evening. And I hope you are going to stay, because that's one of the key challenges for IT. And I'm CTO in my organization. I'm fighting with knowledge management, innovation management, constant innovation, constant learning every day. And the new workplace should help us at least a little bit to solve these problems. Technology, last but not least. Technology, of course, is a big driver. It is never an answer to something. It's always a driver, it's always a tool. It's never an answer to any of those problems that I addressed. But if you think about things like your smartwatches, if you think about your smartphones, when you are happy that you now have integrated a smartphone in your corporate workplace environment, and you have also given your top management the tablets, and you are able to manage Apple and iOS and Windows. Guess what? That's not the end. How many of you know what processor do you have currently in your notebook? What's the name of your processor? Raise your hand if you know it. One guy, two guys know it, three guys. 10 years ago, when I would have asked this question in an IT audience, 90% of the people would have raised their hands, and you would have known that the other 10% are non-IT people. Everybody knows what is an Intel 386 or 486 or 586 or Pentium. We all grew up with that. We all know that. Today, what is the operating system version that I have on my iOS phone? Or what is the operating system version of my tablet with Android? I don't even know it. Yeah? So things change completely. And the way how we need to manage, and now I'm coming to the technology and to the key challenges for us as IT specialists. First of all, we need to manage that complexity. We simply don't know what the next operating system on wearables will be, but I can bet with all of you, for whatever money, you will, at least in 5 years from now, you will need to deal with wearables. And we today laugh about smartwatches like the Pebble here, because it has no memory. Think about how we laughed about smartphones, or how you laughed about the PC when you were a mainframe guy and worked with green screens. All of these things come, and they are unstoppable. Ubiquitous computing, 15 years ago, everybody was smiling about that. Today, we have ubiquitous computing, probably not on your notebook, but on your phone. Your phone is constantly connected, constantly working, constantly switched on. And that's not the end. Okay, probably the Google Glass is not the next big thing. I don't know, but probably it's the earphones, the smart earphones, or whatever. And the problem with that, the problem with technology today is, 10, 15 years ago, I worked 10 years for Microsoft. And before the millennial change, I was quite sure, okay, the technology questions are done. We have an Intel platform, we have an operating system, that's a given thing. We have some exotic environments, you know, these guys with the little apple, yeah? And that's it. Look into the world we have to manage today. And, you know, I have addressed all of that already, but the usage of technology, the usage of data, the usage of sensors will be even more complex. When you today look in a factory, like an automotive factory, you have the guys who are managing the IT, and in many factories you have the guys who are managing the technology in the workshops. What is the difference between the technology that controls a robot and the technology that you have on your desktop or that you have in your pocket? I can tell you there is no difference. So in the future, we will be asked to manage all of that. We will be asked to manage the safety systems in a railway. We will be asked to manage 100,000 cars in a city that are floating around. We will be asked to manage the traffic lights. That's all our IT problems, and all of these things are workplaces. So if we are talking about the workplace of the future, we need to think on one hand about people, but on the other hand, we need to think about what's coming next. And if we are still seeing a very heterogeneous world of different platforms, operating systems, the thing that is homogeneous is the technologies are all connected to each other. And my prediction to you is, in terms of workplace, we as IT professionals, we will need to manage those workplaces, and it's even more than today. So the question for IT is on how to manage these workplaces. So it's about generating the right support and focusing on the right things. So I'm pretty sure that all of you in IT professions have implemented a workplace standardization. But now all the users are coming with bring your own device. So what we need to do is to bring the standardization one level above. It's about service standardization. It's about service modeling. It's about having one integrated framework for your IT services. And the key thing is not to stop with the workplace only. There is no difference of operating a data center, a cloud environment that is even not in your premise and operated by a third party, and the workplaces that are used by your people. At the end of the day, you need to have service levels that you hold. You need to define it. You need to define how these technologies are used, and you need to manage it. And that is what you need to standardize in the future. It's not anymore standardizing one desktop type, one operating system type, and one version, and really work weeks or months to roll out the next version. That won't be the problem anymore. And the way how you can achieve that is to go with partners into that world. And as you know, sorry, I thought to blind this slide. I didn't want to go into too much of technology today. So it's about creating this homogeneous user experience, creating these collaboration platforms, creating this access to systems. That is what the challenge is. And of course, as I have been asked by my colleagues from the marketing department also to talk a little bit about HP and HP technologies, let me now bring up the advertisement part of my speech, which should go into the direction of what are the right partners that you can find out there in the market to manage that complexity and to get that done. But seriously, coming back to the key question, what is the key focus for IT in terms of the future workplace of, that we are having in front of us? I believe the key task is to standardize the services, to create this standardized service catalog, to homogenize the service catalog across all your platforms, across all your technologies, and to enable a complete different user experience. And I give you one example. When I talk to my students in my team, most of them entering our company and start working have a first kind of a aha experience. And the aha experience is that this all we do looks extremely old and outdated. And the simple reason is it looks different than they are used by what they have today on their phone from Apple, or what they have today on their phone from Google. Yeah? And you can think about that by saying, okay, I don't give something on that. They have to use it. I can tell you, I made the same experience already 20 years ago when we got the PC. The PC was not introduced to companies by IT and IT managers. The PC was introduced by the users, and the users forced us to move on from green screen to PC. And that will happen about the user experience with your new users that you get. And so from my perspective, managing the user experience. What can you get in front of your users? How can you standardize your services? That should be the key focus for you to choose the right partner. And the same way of you do today cloud, and you go out there for choosing a new cloud platform or choosing a new platform where you get your computing services, you should choose your partner to get this user experience done in front of your customers and get your systems, your back-end systems and legacy systems engaged. And with that, let me say thank you. Sorry for the short advertisement about HP. Of course, we would be your partner to do that. And thank you very much for listening. It was a great pleasure to be here. And let me hand back. Thank you very much.